Alright, so I got a request for a video for problem 43 on page 118. It is here. Number 43, a sugar crystal contains so many molecules. How many moles are present and what is the mass? Okay, so as I'm reading this, I interpret it like this. I say to myself, you know, when I first read this, I never understand what's going on. Those first few words mean nothing to me, so I just start writing stuff down. And I see the first thing is that it's an amount of sucrose. I don't even know what that means yet. I write the number down, and then it says that's how many molecules are in there. Okay, so a sugar crystal contains approximately 1.8 times 10 to the 17th sucrose, and then I write molecules. Okay, so I write that down. Then, how many moles are present? Oh, and I write this also, the formula down in sucrose, okay, knowing I'm probably going to need that. So the two questions are, how many moles are present, and what's the mass? What's the mass of that crystal? Okay, so the first thing I do when I get something like this, besides, I write these notes down, I go, all right, I'm going to need the formula weight. First thing I do. So the formula weight is, there are 12 carbons in it, right? That's a carbon molecular mass, or molar atomic mass. There's the hydrogen atomic mass. I look it up in the periodic table, and there's my oxygen. So there's 12 times that, 12 times that, and 11 times that, because I get them from here, right? So I put that in my calculator already and got 332.228. Let me just check that again real quickly. Let's see, 12, enter, 12.011 times. Okay, got the same number. So 332.228, reasonably sure that's correct. There's only ultimately going to be 2 sig figs in my answer, but let's write them all out for now. Alright, so the question is how we're going to set this up. My first question is how many moles of sucrose do I have, and I have the number of molecules. So I'm going to write this out. Moles is what I'm looking for, and I'm given molecules. And I say to myself, what conversion do I have between molecules and moles? And I go, oh yeah. There's a bunch of molecules per mole, right? For every 1 mole, it's 6.022 times 10 to the 23rd. Right? And how many molecules were there? 1.8 times 10 to the 17th molecules. So it looks like it's going to be 1.8 times 10 to the 17th divided by 6.022 times 10 to the 23rd. 1.8 and 17... enter 6.022 times 10 to the 23rd divided by. So it looks like it's going to be 2.989 times 10 to the negative 7 moles of sucrose. Okay? Now there's only 2 sig figs in there, so I'm going to say this is about the same as that. I'm only going to be able to do 2 sig figs, but that's going to have to get rounded up. So it looks like it's 3.0 moles is the correct answer. If this is a multiple choice question on an exam, and that's one of the choices, it's going to be wrong. This is going to be the right one. Okay? That's how many moles. That's part 1. Then part 2 is what is the mass. And the mass is going to be reported in grams. Right? So I go back up to my question stem. I look for grams. I see it. Aha, grams per mole. It's going to be grams per mole, right? And how many moles do I have? Well, I could keep working my way back and go all the way back to molecules again, but I've got moles here. So I'm just going to say that's my 3.0. But that's 3.0 moles. That's just a measurement, so it's not related to anything, right? That's how many moles I have. And then I convert it with grams per mole, and I'm going to get my grams. How many grams per mole is it? 332.228 grams per mole. My 2.989 times 10 to the negative 7, oops, almost lost that, is still here. That's still in my calculator, right? So I'm not going to type in 3.0 in my calculator. Be careful, you should not. You should really type in your calculator 2.989. Just in case. Occasionally it makes a slight difference. I mean, it makes the difference. Pretty rare, but... Alright, so it's 2.989 times 10 to the negative 7. Enter. and then 332.228. Actually, both those numbers are still in my calculator. All I've got to do is hit times, and we're good. So it looks like it's going to be 9.9304 times 10 to the negative 5 grams of sucrose, right? And then then the last thing we want to do is make sure we report this to the right number of sig figs. There are 2 sig figs coming into this, so it's going to have to be 2 sig figs there. And that's going to round, it's not going to round up, it's going to round down to 9.9 grams of sucrose, right? And that's the amount of grams. Okay, the last question I want to ask you is, I want to ask you, you tell me this in class, what is the mistake, the most common mistake I see when students are setting this problem up in this circle here? Students sometimes do something wrong in here. What is it? So you please be ready to answer that in class. Okay, hope that's helpful. Again, that's problem 118. I'm sorry, problem 43 on page 118.